All right, welcome back to Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports. Rich Walsh. I'm joined by Andrew Fillipponi, who's over at the 93.7 The Fan Cam. Do you think enrollment's going to go up in Boone University after tonight's game?
How about Mr. Big Chest? You know, I took him in my fantasy draft. I have a feeling that he is going to be, I'm not going to say lead the league in receiving yards because I think Tampa's going to be ahead in a lot of games, and I think they'll be running the ball in the fourth quarter with my guy Leonard Fournette, who the Steelers could have picked up for pennies and decided that James Conner was better last year. But, you know, that's a very sensitive subject for me, Richie. And by the way, I will make this proclamation now on the Nightly Sports Call. Jameis Winston will quarterback the Saints to a victory over the Packers on Sunday.
Whoa. Jameis Winston. Yep. Maybe he's your future Steelers quarterback.
No, he priced himself out of Pittsburgh. He's the Saints guy now, Richie. Sorry.
All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We're going to go out to Pete in Squirrel Hill. We haven't heard from Pete in a long time. I'm going to get him back on the show.
What's a long time? I talked to him last week, I think.
Oh, you did? With me, maybe?
Hey, what's going on, my man? Hey, I got a question and like something else I want to tell you guys about and get your response. How many sacks last year did Watt have?
Double digits.
I think 14 and a half, maybe?
I know he led the league, and the Steelers led the league in sacks.
I'm going to tell you, the gold standard in the last 40 years in the NFL is a strike-shortened season back in the 80s. Reggie White, 21 and a half sacks in 12 games.
Well, you know, that's pretty good, Pete. I appreciate it. But, I mean, I saw a stat, and I think it was it Chris Muller, your partner, that put out there that the first 4 years in the NFL, he leads all players in the NFL in sacks? Something like that, 4 or 5 years?
So it might be quarterback hits and forced fumbles. I think he might be second in the league in sacks over that time. I think Khalil Mack might have more. I'd have to double-check that. He's either 1 or 2. I know he's got more than Myles Garrett because Garrett missed a lot of games because of injury and because he was so reckless, he decided to take somebody's helmet and hit him over the head with it. Really should have been banned from the NFL for that, but that's a conversation for another day, Richie. No, Watt for me is what, you know, he's the silver standard in the NFL. The gold standard is Aaron Donald, who's in a class all by himself. And then Watt is in that next tier where there's a very strong argument, in my opinion, that he's the second best player, defensive player in the entire NFL.
All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. We got Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Good. Thank you for taking my call. Gentlemen.
Hey, Nick.
Good for the selling for Pittsburgh. But, you know, somewhere along the line, it's going to get more and more, you know, for Patrick and so on. When does it end? Because next year it's going to be, and we're going to negotiate the contract and everything, and here we go all over again.
Well, you know what, Nick? I mean, that's a part of the NFL, right, Pony? I mean, Mink is up next year. He's a superstar. If they don't sign him, he's going to go elsewhere and get big money, right?
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, you hope that Devin Bush plays so well over the next 2 years that 2 years from now, you know, they're in the same situation with him, where if they want to keep him, they got to pay him whatever the top inside linebacker is making and guarantee him a big chunk of that money. I mean, that's just, you know, when you draft a guy and you're the Steelers in the first round, the idea is that he's here beyond his first contract, which is why, you know, I was so down on the Najee Harris deal. You know, nothing personal against the guy. I just don't think running back should be picked in the first round because you don't want. Look at Zeke Elliott tonight. You know, look at all the money the Cowboys gave him. You know, after 3 years, he looked like, you know, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Now he's splitting time with Tony Pollard, and he's making like $15 million a year. It doesn't make sense.
But you have Harris for 5 years, Pony. And if he isn't a great running back, you have control of him for 5 years. Picking him in the first round, then you don't need him.
Yeah. Well, but I don't, to me, if a first-round pick is only on your roster for 5 years, he better be great for those 5 years, or it's not that good of a pick. You know, your first-rounder, you want him to be Cam Hayward or Ben Roethlisberger, these guys that Roethlisberger, obviously, is a I mean, you can't do that every year. You can't take a franchise quarterback in the first round every season, but you get my point.
Yeah, I do.
You know, running backs seem to come out of nowhere. The guy in Jacksonville last year was one of the few 1,000-yard rushers in football, and he went undrafted. And, hey, maybe Najee has a great year. I got my fingers crossed that he will. But it's hard-pressed. It's hard for me to picture that, Richie, with the state of this offensive line right now. I know you're not like Pompiani. He is drinking that black and gold Kool-Aid on this offensive line. He thinks they're going to be good. I don't see it. Do you? I see maybe the worst offensive line in football.
Well, here's the thing. I was told someone from inside the Steelers who told me a good running back makes a bad offensive line look good. And that's a quote. And that's what we're looking at this year. So hopefully Najee Harris is
How about a 39-year-old quarterback behind a bad line? What does he make it look like? Did you ask that guy that same question?
So I just got the running back.
So what's that mean? 2 seconds and the ball is out again? We going to do that again? Where Juju's catching 3-yard passes?
Right? Let's see what Bill from McKees Rocks has to say. Bill?
Yeah, guys.
Hey, Bill.
I think we paid. Hi. I think we paid too much for T.J. Watt. I mean, when you look at Bud Dupree, I think he put up the similar numbers. I think we overpaid for this guy, and I think that.
Do you think Juju Smith-Schuster is as good as Antonio Brown?
Well, I think that I think when you spend that kind of money on one player, it just
No, your point was that Watt put up the same kind of numbers as Dupree, and when Juju and AB were here in that last year, Juju's receiving yards were about the same as Antonio Brown. But we know why that was. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why Dupree's sack numbers were so high. If Dupree's getting double teamed, I can guarantee you he's not getting to 10 sacks. No way.
And he didn't do anything prior to Watt.
Exactly.
Up until that 1 year, and then he got hurt. All right, we got to go to our Tri-State Office Furniture tweet of the day. And this is the story I was telling you about. This is from Adam Schefter here, who tweeted, Steelers outside linebacker T.J. Watt overruled his agents who believed they could get more money today, and maybe they could have, but it would have taken longer. He marched into the office of Steelers president Art Rooney and told him they had a deal. Then the NFL's newest, highest-paid defensive player excused himself and announced he had to go work out. That's a great story. But, you got to look at this.
When did he fire the agents? After he got his workout in? When did he get rid of them? When did he say, you guys stink? You're giving me bad advice.
You got to look at this two ways. I mean, if it's a 5-year deal, he's not the highest paid player. But if it's a 4-year extension, yes, he is. But he might not even be next year when someone else is up. So, right now, he's got $122 million over 5 years, which is great. Is that what you expected? Or did you think
no,
more?
Because I didn't think I didn't think a deal was going to get done because I didn't think the Steelers were going to guarantee the $80 million. I thought they were going to stand firm on their guarantee policy, and I thought that was going to get in the way of keeping, in my opinion, one of the best players, period, in all of football.
And he's getting a $35 million check tomorrow. That's got to be pretty nice, right?
What do you think he's going to spend it on? Cheese curds? You think he's going to take little Tito Watt, Derek Watt out for dinner? That guy, how about he's got the captain's badge and TJ doesn't? You want to talk about an upside-down world? That makes no sense.
Imagine if you're Derek. You're like the poor guy in the family. You're making $4 million a year.
Derek should sell the captain's badge to TJ Watt for like $5 or $6 million. See what he says.
All right, we got to take a break.
Maybe he takes it.
Back with more of your phone calls. Some of your tweets coming up next. Stay right there.